Hi there. Welcome back to our channel, Luxury Vibe. Today we'll be taking a dive into the homes of Queen Elizabeth II. Hi, hello, and welcome back to our channel. This is our special edition episode. And we'll be doing an episode on a historic public figure who just recently passed after her years and years on Earth. Today's episode is about none other than the late Queen Elizabeth II. With the news that Queen Elizabeth had just recently passed away at her beloved Scottish estate, Balmoral, we're going to be taking you around her 6 homes. The Queen had homes for just about every occasion: Balmoral for the summer, Sandringham for Christmas. I'm sure you get the picture. Some of these properties came with the title, while others came from inheritance. Here is a guide to the Queen's 6 royal and private dwellings. The headquarters, Buckingham Palace, Crown-owned. The palace, located in the city of Westminster, belongs to the ruling monarch at the time, a tradition that dates back to 1837. It has a total of 775 rooms, including 19 staterooms, 52 royal and guest bedrooms, 188 staff bedrooms, 92 offices, and 78 bathrooms. Visitors can actually tour a number of the staterooms inside the palace during specific times of the year. When you consider that the British monarchy has been around for thousands of years, Buckingham Palace is a relatively new addition to the royal family's portfolio of homes. Its significance, however, is profound. Apart from being a beloved tourist attraction, the palace and its grounds serve as an important location for hosting ceremonies and handling political affairs in the UK. And while Buckingham Palace itself is a fixture of British culture, there are still many secrets about the place and its rich history that few people know. The royal residence has played host to some of the most significant moments in English history, from royal weddings to bombings during World War II. From the ATM in the basement that prints money for the British royal family only, to the beautiful 39-acre garden, Buckingham is certainly a place to be explored. Imagine living in a house that had an ATM that wasn't for withdrawing money that you already had, but to print out new money for you whenever you wanted. Now that a place I wouldn't mind spending the rest of my life. Originally built in 1703 as Buckingham House for the 3rd Earl of Mulgrave John Sheffield, Buckingham Palace has been the home and administrative headquarters for the royal family for hundreds of years. The land on which Buckingham Palace was built is located in the Borough of London known as Westminster and has been in the royal family for over 400 years. It was originally marshland along the River Tiber and the plot was acquired by King James I and meant to serve as a garden for the royal family. John Sheffield, who later became the Duke of Buckingham, bought the property with its pre-existing house in 1698. Since Queen Victoria's first appearance, standing on Buckingham's balcony has become something of a tradition for royal events. In 2002, Queen Elizabeth waved to the crowds from the balcony in celebration of her Golden Jubilee. In addition, some of Prince William's most famous wedding photos with the Duchess of Cambridge were taken on the balcony. Another tradition Buckingham Palace holds is the royal changing the guard ceremony, in which one regiment takes over for another. Per tradition, the new guard marched to Buckingham Palace from Wellington Barracks with musical accompaniment, thereby becoming the Queen's Guard during the course of the ceremony. Also known as guard mounting, the tradition takes place at 11 a.m. every other day and daily during the summer. While these are only some of the traditions the palace holds, the house and grounds have seen many major historic moments over the years, making Buckingham one of the most influential and historic locations in the history of the British royal family. The country home, Windsor Castle. The Queen moved here first with her sister, Margaret, during World War II for safety reasons. Today, the Queen frequents this location on weekends, and it serves as a country home of sorts, not far from her London home base. As with Buckingham Palace, Windsor is Queen Elizabeth's home for as long as she is ruling monarch. It spans 13 acres and boasts 1,000 rooms, making it the largest occupied castle in the world. The original castle was built in the 11th century after the Norman invasion of England by William the Conqueror. Since the time of Henry I, who reigned 1100 to 1135, it has been used by the reigning monarch and is the longest occupied palace in Europe. The castle's lavish early 19th century state apartments were described by early 20th century art historian Hugh Roberts as a superb and unrivaled sequence of rooms widely regarded as the finest and most complete expression of later Georgian taste. Inside the castle walls is the 15th century St. George's Chapel, considered by the historian John Martin Robinson to be one of the supreme achievements of English Perpendicular Gothic design. Originally designed to protect Norman dominance around the outskirts of London and oversee a strategically important part of the River Thames, Windsor Castle was built as a modern bailey, with 3 wards surrounding a central mound. Gradually replaced with stone fortifications, the castle withstood a prolonged siege during the First Barons' War at the start of the 13th century. Henry III built a luxurious royal palace within the castle during the middle of the century, and Edward III went further, rebuilding the palace to make an even grander set of buildings in what would become the most expensive secular building project of the entire Middle Ages in England. Edward's core design lasted through the Tudor period, during which Henry VIII and Elizabeth I made increasing use of the castle as a royal court and centre for diplomatic entertainment. Windsor Castle survived the tumultuous period of the English Civil War, when it was used as a military headquarters by parliamentary forces and a prison for Charles I. At the restoration of the monarchy in 1660, Charles II rebuilt much of Windsor Castle with the help of the architect Hugh May, creating a set of extravagant Baroque interiors. After a period of neglect during the 18th century, George III and George IV renovated and rebuilt Charles II's palace at colossal expense, producing the current design of the state apartments, full of Rococo, Gothic and Baroque furnishings. Queen Victoria made a few minor changes to the castle, which became the center for royal entertainment for much of her reign. Windsor Castle was used as a refuge by the royal family during the Luftwaffe bombing campaigns of the Second World War and survived a fire in 1992. It is a popular tourist attraction, a venue for hosting state visits, and was the main residence of Queen Elizabeth II from 2011 to 2022. The Scottish residence, Holyrood Palace. The Edinburgh Palace is the Queen's official residence in Scotland, and hosts her when she travels north, typically the first week of the summer, an event known as Holyrood Week. It was originally founded as a monastery in 1128. As the reigning sovereign of the United Kingdom, Queen Elizabeth has not one, but a handful of official royal residences scattered around the UK. In Scotland, Balmoral is her private estate and much-loved summer home, but the Palace of Holyrood House has the distinction of being the monarch's official residence in the country. Here's what you should know about the palace. Legend has it that in 1128, David I of Scotland had a vision of a stag with a cross between its antlers, and was inspired to build an Augustinian monastery in the same place. The abbey flourished, and from early on, included royal quarters for the monarch. Later, in the early 16th century, James IV decided to convert these spaces into a palace. His successor, James V, built the famous tower at the northwest corner of the palace, one of the oldest structures at Holyrood House that still survives today. Under James VI, Charles II, and Queen Victoria, the palace continued to be remodeled and built. Through the centuries, the residence was often at the center of history. The short, tumultuous reign of Mary, Queen of Scots, played out against the backdrop of Holyrood House. During the Civil War, Oliver Cromwell's troops were billeted at the Scottish Palace. The palace was fitted with central heating, new bathrooms, and an elevator during the King's reign in the early 20th century. It was also during this time that the Palace of Holyrood House was recognized as the official residence of the monarch in Scotland, and the sovereign began hosting garden parties on the grounds. Every year in late June and early July, during a week aptly dubbed Holyrood Week, the Queen travels to Scotland for a series of engagements and stays at the palace. The summer home, Balmoral Castle. Balmoral is a private estate owned by the Queen. It's where she spends many weeks at the end of each summer and is believed to be her favorite residence. The royal family is nothing if not consistent. At the end of every summer, Queen Elizabeth makes her annual pilgrimage north to Scotland for a multiple-week-long holiday at Balmoral Castle. It's no wonder that this was where she spent her last days. During her Silver Jubilee in 1977, Queen Elizabeth II opened the house to the public. Today, people can come to visit the estate's 600 acres of gardens or learn more about royal life and the history of Sandringham at the Estate Museum. The Irish residence, Hillsborough Castle, similar to how the Queen stays at the Palace of Holyrood House when officially visiting Scotland, the Queen dwells in Hillsborough during her visits to Northern Ireland. It is also the official residence of Northern Ireland's Secretary of State. Built in the 1770s, the home is surrounded by 100 acres of lush green gardens. And those are the homes of the late and incredibly famous Queen Elizabeth II. And with all of that, we've come to the end of our special edition episode, and thank you for watching. Do have a nice day.